and I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing to Immunolaboratories. And I'm going to do a real short presentation right now just to kind of pull together what the speakers have shared with us this morning. Is the PowerPoint up? Yep. Oh, there we go. This is Corporate Wellness Tools for Growth. And in listening to Dr. Warden this morning and also Dr. Takimoto, there were some common threads. So getting started, the first things first, I heard both these doctors say, be a good doctor. And I know a lot of the doctors here in this room, and I know that we are good doctors, but it bears repeating, be a good doctor. Number two is have that empathy, a sincere interest in helping your patients succeed. And then number three is build those patient relationships. Create that sense of family and relationship with your patients. And then looking at the internal marketing, the referrals, Dr. Warden and Dr. Takimoto both discussed how they've really broken into the corporate wellness market, so to speak, through their patients referring fellow employees. Well, referrals are 100 to 1 return on an investment. Comparison is direct mail is a 3 to 1 return on the investment. So we should ask for referrals. Now, when I'm out talking to doctors, I think that every doctor knows that they're supposed to ask for referrals. I mean, this is like, beating the drum. Everybody's heard this before. And yet, doctors will share with me that they feel uncomfortable asking for referrals. So I'm going to ask you, how many of you in here ask your patient for referrals? And before you raise your hand, that doesn't include putting a sign up saying we appreciate referrals, where you, the physician, actually ask the patient for referrals. How many? Okay, that's excellent. Now, how many of you know that you're supposed to ask for referrals? You've heard it before. Okay, everybody does. But we feel uncomfortable. Does anyone want to share with me or with all of us here in the room, if you can, wrap your hands, your arms around what it is about asking your patient for a referral that feels uncomfortable? Can anybody identify what that is?
Well, it's been somewhat considered taboo or a little avant-garde for physicians to ask for referrals. So, in fact, certain states are very kind of restricted in exactly what you can say and how you can do it, and all that on a more on an advertising basis. So I think professionally speaking, it's kind of looked down upon doing that.
Okay, so from a professional standpoint, looked down upon, taboo. Dr. Debin, I think you raised your hand.
Check. But it's very uncomfortable because suddenly it's like I'm in it for me as opposed to in it for the patient. And what I have to remind myself is if they do come, they're going to benefit. But it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's great. Anyone else? Yep.
Just raise your hand. I'll bring the mic.
My name is Varsha. I started being uncomfortable, but what I found was instead of taking it personally, doctor, you did such a great job, and me kind of, oh my gosh, it's not me, it's you. Now I say, well, if you really appreciate it, send us the referrals. And it's no longer personal. I feel that that's the way you can grow the practice, and people are like, yeah, absolutely, I'll tell my neighbors. I know many people. And so it's been a positive, it's been a real win.
That's good. Thank you for sharing. Now, my next slide is we're going to talk about the proper way to ask for a referral and also the psychology behind asking for the referral as it relates to the patient, what they're feeling at the time when you ask for this referral. But also I wanted to ask you, for those of you that raised your hand, that you do ask for referrals, how many of you have a formalized referral program? And Dr. Debin, excellent. And for those of you that don't know what that is, let me ask you another question first before I answer it. Someone share with me, what is the value of a new patient in terms of revenue? So we'll say maybe the first 3 appointments. What's the value of that patient financially to your practice? Someone. Okay?
The update
$800, $1,000, good. Someone else? Do we know what the revenue is from our patients for the first 3 visits? Dr. Warden? About $1,800 to $2,000? Right. Okay.
Well, I think it goes way beyond that one patient. That one patient then refers another, so it can be in the hundreds of thousands. I don't think
Right.
there's a limit to it.
Right. That's great. So that's excellent to see how the multiplication can happen. But from a new patient coming in, the value to you could be $800 up to $2,000, $2,500, whatever your programs are that you're selling to the patient. That's the value of that patient. So, if you have a patient that refers someone to your practice, that's valuable to you. It didn't cost you anything. A formalized referral program is a way to reward your patients that are referring patients to you. The first reward would be a letter from you, personally from you, to the patient saying, you know what, John, I thank you for referring patient so-and-so to me. I really appreciate it. If you had some service there at your office that you'd like to say next time you come in, we'd like to do this for you, do that. Then maybe on about the 5th or 6th patient they've referred to you, pick up the phone and call them. What a thing to get a call from your doctor to say thank you for referring these patients. Now, if it's about $2,000 per patient, you're talking $2,000 times 5, that's $10,000 that just walked into your practice. Pick up the phone and say thank you to them. Maybe after they've referred 15, 20 patients, you might want to get them a small gift. And you never ask them for a referral again. Once you've asked them for a referral one time, you never ask them again. You're simply saying thank you, we appreciate it. It's very important, and practices that implement a formalized referral program like this, their referrals skyrocket. Oh, supposed to go back. Yes.
We used to, when I was in private practice, we had cards that were made up that were thank you cards for referrals, and the front desk was responsible for just looking at the line, how did you find out about us? And they would address the envelope to the person who was the referee, and all you had to do when you're finishing with the chart was finish the card, and it went out automatically. And then we started buying movie tickets, and because you can buy like 50 movie tickets for AMC theaters or things like that, and so you can kind of give those out depending on at what level. Is the person referring. But we used to just give it to people when they would refer.
That's great, and that's excellent. And it's not that this is such a big thing, but everybody appreciates a pat on the back, and that's what it is. So asking for the referral could go something like this. John, I'd like to ask you for a favor. If you like what I've done for you here, I'd like you to send me someone I can help the same way that I've helped you. I'm sure they will be pleased, and I would appreciate it too. Will you do that for me? Now, we're going to break this down and discuss how this affects the patient. When we're sitting there and we're feeling uncomfortable saying to the patient, John, I'd like to ask you to do a favor for me, what John is thinking, oh great, I get to please this authority figure. They're not thinking anything about you're asking them to do something that it's not right or anything. What it is there is a subliminal effect that they are going to be able to please an authority figure. And beyond that, if you've helped them and helped them in their health, maybe a family member, etc., they also are excited to be able to help you. Then the next part, it says, if you like what I've done for you here, I'd like you to send me someone I can help the same way I've helped you. Their next thought is, oh, I'm going to look really good to my family and friends. I'm going to be able to help them. So what we think that the patient's thinking is not true. What they're thinking is, I'm going to be able to please my doctor, my authority figure. I'm going to be able to help people. Then as the doctor, you reiterate it, reiterate and say, I'm sure they're going to be pleased. I would appreciate it too. Would you do that for me? Something along those lines. Of course, you can personalize it, but you do want to say to them, I'd like to ask you for a favor. Instead of just saying, by the way, John, we appreciate referrals. There's a right way to ask for it, and if you will ask this way, this type of formula, your referrals will go sky high. And remember, it's 100-to-1 return on your investment, because if you are not doing a formalized program, you're just investing your time. And I would say that that's even higher. The 100-to-1 is when you have a formal program and you're buying them a gift, sending them, a mailing, etc. Does this make sense? Should we do something like we all practice saying it together? No. But do you feel that that could be something that you could do? And I will tell you this, when I've discussed this with doctors and they had an uncomfortableness, I have said to them, I guarantee you that you do this with 2 or 3 patients, you won't feel uncomfortable anymore, because when you see their reaction of how excited they are to help you, it'll take all of that away. And every time the doctors have reported to me that that is true. Your patients are going to be excited to help you. You've just helped them. They would love to help you. So, corporate referrals. Now, that's just in general. I mean, that right there is worthwhile for coming to the event, is if you go back Monday and start to ask your patients for referrals in terms of revenue and increased patients. Yes?
Before we go to corporate referrals, what have you found to be an effective tool? Here's the doctor asking the patient for a referral. What have you found? Thank you. What have you found to be an effective tool, such as a postcard saying, here's what we do, a piece of marketing, a little trinket that helps enable that patient sell to a family member or friend or whatever?
Okay, that's good. Dr. Devin, you want to answer that?
Well, one of the things we do, we have a sign in every exam room that says, the greatest compliment we can receive is a referral of your family or friends. In appreciation, we would like to offer you, and we have cosmetic skincare in our practice. I'm a family doctor, but we offer them a complimentary silk peel, which is a microdermabrasion. It's a $150 value, but they bring to us much more than that. So, and so that's posted when we get the referral. The letters on the notes on our chart, we write the note to them and we insert the gift certificate. And it helps build our cosmetic skincare practice also.
And I would say that you can really personalize that around your practice and what you offer, but I will tell you this. The number one thing is that when you, the doctor, personally say, thank you. That is the number one thing. More so than gifts, but that's a nice way to show an appreciation, or the movie tickets, whatever it is. But the number one thing is when you send them that letter the first time, and you pick up that phone after they've referred a couple of patients to you, 3, 4, 5, and say, I wanted to call you and say thank you. That's the number one. Okay? All right. So, on corporate referrals, we've discussed that patients are employees of corporations, or patients have family members who are corporate employees. So you're already hooked up with corporations in your practice. You may just not know it yet. So the nuts and bolts of the corporate referrals, and I believe it might have been Jeffrey alluded to this, is you want to look at your patient intake forms. Generally, on your accounting forms, you're already asking the patient where they're employed. Do you ask that on your forms? Probably? Yes? Okay. Some of you may not be sure because you probably don't look at those forms. That's something that the staff really looks at. But if you're not, make sure that's added. And also, besides their place of employment, find out what their position title is. Now, on Monday, when you go back to your practice, if this isn't on those forms, and your patients come in, they've already received benefit from you, strike up a conversation with them and say, John, where are you employed at? What do you do over there? Okay? You're going to want to find out and make a note of this. And then when you're talking with your patient, John, you want to review with them what their company's current corporate wellness program is, or if they have one. So, John, okay, you work for ABS company, you're a sales rep. Do they do corporate wellness over there at the company? You want to strike up a conversation with him or her. And then ultimately, what you want to garner from this is a referral to the HR director. And this dialogue would go something like this. John, I see that you work for ABS company as a sales rep. Does your company have a corporate wellness program? Have a discussion on that. You know, John, I work with companies like yours providing complementary health resources like employee seminars. I'd like you to make an introduction for me to your HR director. Will you do that for me? Now, could you see yourself having that conversation with an employee? Most companies, and we heard from the two corporate representatives on the panel, most corporations know that they need to have a corporate wellness program, but unless they're a bigger corporation, they don't necessarily have one funded yet. So the next thing that you want to do after you have an introduction to the HR director is to become a resource to the HR director. There's an organization, it's the Society of Human Resources, something along those lines. I don't have it with me, but if you'd like it, I can email it to you after the event. But this is a society of HR directors, and I know a gentleman who has massage clinics throughout the country, and he said that he was at their last meeting, and he was just pounced on by HR directors saying, we need something for corporate wellness for our employees. What resources do you have? They're being told, the HR directors, you need to come up with something, and guess what? You have no money to do it with, okay? So we're going to discuss some of the ways that you can be a resource to the HR director to help them with the charge that they've been given. You can say, you know, whoever the HR director is, I can provide for you an employee newsletter. I can email it to you once a month. It's content rich, that will help your employees to better health. And the employee newsletter, of course, would have your information on there. Immunolaboratories, am I allowed to say that from here? Yeah. Immunolaboratories has such a newsletter that we will provide to physicians, and we will customize it for whatever corporation you're working with. Is it just me, or is it the clicker? Oh, back? Okay, so this newsletter is going to provide to the employees valuable information, and it's going to, very important, build your reputation as an expert with those employees. Also, your website is going to be on the newsletter, and how many of us know today, first of all, everybody has a web presence, right? Okay, right? Okay, good. Having a web presence is obviously very important today, and it gives an opportunity for these employees who really don't know you to kick the tires. They can get on your website, check you out. So you want to have a pretty good, web presence. And then also you want to put on the newsletter a compelling monthly offer. Now, the newsletter, as I said, Immunolaboratories researches and does a newsletter every single month. It doesn't have anything about immuno on it. It's whatever the topic is that month. We've done them on diabetes, we've done them on candida, we've done them on different topics. But the section, if you can see, over here on the right, Ask the Doctor, this part over here is something that you can customize. So you just share with us whatever your offer is you wanted to put in the newsletter that month, and we will do that for you. Then you can deliver it to the HR director via email, and the HR director in turn can deliver it to all the employees via email. And voila, you've just helped the HR director fulfill a task that he or she has been given to accomplish, which is some type of corporate wellness program that doesn't cost the company anything. For the smaller companies in particular I'm talking about. Yes?
Do you have this
The newsletter? Absolutely. And also to aside, we'll customize it for a corporation, but yes, the design of the newsletter originally was for physicians so that they can email it to their patients. Doctors have reported to us that they would like that as a resource to do a monthly newsletter to patients, but they just didn't have the time to do that. So we've taken upon ourselves, and it's a service that Immunolaboratories provides. So when you get with the HR director, well, having some problems here, but when you get with the HR director, you're going to also let them know, besides a newsletter, I could also come in and do a free employee health seminar. I could come in and do a lunch and learn at a lunch meeting, or even it could be an evening seminar that's off-site. The HR directors, especially after you've already been sending the newsletter and already have become a resource to them, more than likely are going to make this available to the employees. It's no cost to the company, and once again, it's helping them in their job. And at that seminar, have some type of free health screen, because it can't be mandated to the employees necessarily to attend. So if you have some type of free health screen, this is going to drive up the attendance of the employees. There's a health screen this afternoon on this advanced ultrasound, which I just love it. I could just envision this going into a corporation and doing it with employees. And we're going to hear a little bit from Dr. Tapp this afternoon on that technology. But do some type of free health screen, and then make a special offer to those employees at the event. And once again, the biggest opportunity here is just that they could get to know you. And probably after a lunch and learn or an evening seminar, and after receiving your monthly newsletters, they're going to know you a lot better than they know their primary care doctor, who comes in and spends 5 minutes with them and writes them another script. So then the next step after that, as you start to get some of these more employees coming in and kind of the snowballing effect, and I'm just really excited about with the Takimotos that this time last year, they really weren't that involved with the corporate wellness. It's really snowballed this year, and as they said, over 200 patients coming from corporations. So as these employees of the corporation that you're working with start to test, and they start, I said test, I didn't mean that, start to become patients of yours, and you start to work with them with your protocols, and they get better, at that point, it's time to sit down with the HR director and have a discussion, a serious discussion about how you can reduce their health care costs at their company. And you would want to sit with the HR director and diagnose that particular corporation's employee health costs. What's their greatest cost? I go to the Institute for Health and Productivity Medicine, where corporations come. And one corporation, their greatest cost, I think it was Ford, said that it was allergies. Inhalant allergies, sinusitis, asthma, etc. Another corporation, it was back pain. So depending upon what the corporation is, you don't want to assume. You want to sit down with the HR director and find out what is that corporation's highest cost in terms of the presenteeism and absenteeism. And then with the HR director as your advocate, build a solution to that issue. And this is where Immunolaboratories will step in, our marketing department, and help you pull the pieces of information together from the HR director and your conversation, the diagnosis of what's going on with the company, and help you put it into a cohesive type presentation. Generally, the old days of doing a PowerPoint presentation to upper management, it's not as successful as sitting around the table and having a one-page type of plan. And we can help you with that. But you'll want to do that presentation to upper management with specific employee case studies where you can show them their own employees that have improved and what this means to their bottom line. think we covered this. And then additional tools that you can offer to the corporation. This, you see, the right food is your first and best medicine. Some of you will recognize it, although the colors are a little different, because we will customize the our program to have the corporate name on it and your name on it. So therefore, instead of being Immunolaboratories program, it would actually be your program in partnership with the corporation. And that idea is very fetching to corporations. So corporate customized binder. And then also, too, if you would like, we'll send a retest postcard out to patients 1 year after they've tested, if that's part of your corporate program. So in summary, build relationships with your patients. Capture and review the patient-employer information. Ask for the HR referral. Become an HR resource. And I can't tell you how important this is, because the HR directors really are desperate, particularly in the mid-sized, smaller companies. Build a solution with that HR director after you've developed the relationship to the company's presenteeism, absenteeism issues. And then present a matrix to the corporation, the upper management, with case studies, and then provide corporate ongoing support. Now, do you see how this really could be something that you could easily implement into your practice? Do you see how you could go back on Monday and start asking your employees for referrals and also asking them for that HR referral and start to develop this? When we were here last year, we thought of it in a completely different way, that that we could assist doctors with a PowerPoint and you could go into a corporation and do a presentation. But a grassroots level is going to be the quickest and most effective way to start corporate wellness in your practice. Thank you.